we're back. Brian O'Neill in for Kevin Doran on the Newsmakers Show. We've got State Senator Tom Omara on the line. The senator is with us today to give us some insights on the governor's proposal for the state budget, which is coming out next week. And it goes without saying that the state budget affects school and local taxpayers because local officials and schools have to work within the state budget. Senator O'Mara, thanks for joining us today.
Well, Brian, thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Senator, as a reporter, you go to meetings and you hear lots of local officials talking. One theme that I'm hearing a lot these days is that 2011 was a tough year economically, and this year is not going to be any easier. And I guess we'll know more next week. One of those time will tell kind of things. There were a couple of criticisms of Cuomo's handling of last year's budget. One, I think this came from a lot of upstate officials, is that there was too many fill-in-the-blanks when it came into cuts, that he wanted to close some upstate facilities that were at first last year when the budget came out unnamed. Are you hearing anything like that about this year's budget proposal from the governor?
No, I haven't heard that yet, but obviously we're gonna see a lot more in his budget address come next week. At his State of the State last week, and the governor is always the State of the State is very general and vague by its nature. So the details will really come out more in his budget address come next Tuesday, and then as the weeks follow and we go through the detail of what's in the budget. But certainly, the economic picture has not improved by any stretch, so it's still a difficult year. Last year, we were able to, obviously close a $10 billion deficit, which was always very difficult to do. And last year's budget actually spent less money than the prior year, which that hadn't been done in 15 years. So it was a tough year. Everybody knew the tough decisions had to be made, and we made them. And certainly they were tough on local governments and particularly school districts with the cuts they saw, and with the combined effect of the federal ERA money and the stimulus packages running out to schools now. It's been a couple years of declining revenues for schools, and it's been very difficult. And we were able to passed the tax cap legislation last year, which tightens the screws even harder on our local governments. And what we really need to focus on this year is to providing the mandate relief that the governor said will come. That we've said we would do the property tax cap, but we know we need to do mandate relief, and that's what we're working on right now.
Senator O'Mara, we had a lot of local reaction to the governor's speech. Kennesdale Greenwood School Superintendent Jeff Madison said the governor made some brief references to getting mandate relief so that, of course, local governments and schools don't have to pick up the tab for all the heavy taxes mandated by the state programs, by the state legislature. But the school superintendent seemed to come across as if the mention of mandate relief was only lip service. Now, you're getting a lot of pressure, Senator, from Steuben County legislators and others for you to lobby the governor for mandate relief. Your thoughts on what the governor said on mandate relief and the chances of getting mandate relief this year?
I was certainly disappointed there wasn't more specifics in his State of the State on what he's going to do with mandate relief, and he talks about yet another commission to be formed and to go through a public hearing process to have, as he put it, by the end of this legislative session in June, that there'll be a package of mandate relief that gets done. I think we need action quicker. We've talked about mandate relief for many years up here in Albany, and I think the time is ripe to get things done. The governor was very clear last year on the need for mandate relief to make the property tax cap be workable and to be sustainable. We saw our county governments go through a difficult budget process for this fiscal year, and they were able to do it, and they've done a good job, and our county governments have been doing a good job with their budgets. But to continue with a 2% cap without mandate relief is going to be more and more difficult each year going forward. So I would have liked to see the governor talk more about it in the State of the State, but as I said at the outset here, State of the State is always a very general discussion. I've been very active in pushing for mandate relief at all levels, particularly the easier ones to identify with real cost savings are the ones that hit the counties, Medicaid being a prime example and probably the most costly program there is in the state that is an unfunded mandate that goes onto the property tax bill, something about 17 or 18% of the total Medicaid cost in the state is on the property taxpayers. So we need to have some real action there. I've called for freezing that growth at current levels so that the counties don't get any more piled on their tax levies to cover that. And I'm also supportive of legislation that would phase in a takeover of the Medicaid local share, which would be somewhere between $7 and $8 billion for the state to take over those annual costs from the counties, and that's more than the state can afford to do right now. But phasing it in over a period of time, I think, could be manageable.
Now, the subject of education, that's on a lot of people's minds locally as Hornell teachers just got a contract passed. On the topic of education, Senator, Governor Cuomo was on the Fred Dicker Show on Talk 1300 the other day. Here's what the governor told Dicker about the race to the top law. Sound here courtesy of Talk1300.com.
Situation that the federal government incentivized or mandated, depending on your point of view, by making it a condition of the race to the top funds, which were done in 2010. And every state that wanted to qualify had to pass a teacher evaluation law. We did, as part of the race to the top. The law has been a failure. It has not been implemented. It is unworkable. Some would say it was unworkable by design ab initio, but time has shown that it's unworkable.
Senator O'Mara, and this is our final question for you. Your take on what Cuomo said there about the race to the top.
Well, I think the race to the top has been a debacle from the beginning, and it's a great concept to help improve our education process. But the cost of it in implementing these things, you got some assistance from the federal government if you qualified to get this money, but you have to do certain things that end up costing you more money down the road and making it even more expensive. I think teacher evaluation is a very complex and difficult process to go through, but right now the school districts across the state have been going through and reaching agreements with their teachers' unions on which one of several options of teacher evaluation systems there are to choose on, and I think our districts in our area have been able to move forward with getting started. And the governor's right; it hasn't been implemented yet. We're just in the process of the school districts determining which system they're going to go with. The major issue on that in the state is with New York City and the New York City schools not having come to an agreement on which teacher evaluation system to use and to implement it. And the governor is, I think, going to get more involved in that process because the city of New York and the teachers' unions there have not been able to reach agreement on that. So it is a very complex area, one that I think ultimately is going to benefit us in the long run, but it's going to take us a while to get there.
State Senator Tom O'Mara, he represents Steuben, Chemung, Yates, and Tompkins County. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Brian.
Keep listening. Casey and Colleen are next. I'm Brian O'Neill. You're listening to AM 1480 WLEA Hornell. Stay there. Stay there.